Breaking news is hitting the legal world like a thunderbolt. And folks, this is absolutely massive. We are witnessing what could be the most significant legal showdown in modern political history. And the implications are staggering. What we're seeing unfold right now is unprecedented. And I need to walk you through every single detail because this is going to change everything. Let me be crystal clear about what's happening here. The legal machinery is moving at breakneck speed, and the stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking about a convergence of multiple legal fronts that are creating what legal experts are calling a perfect storm. This isn't just another court filing or procedural motion that gets buried in the legal system. This is a full-scale legal earthquake that's sending shockwaves through every corridor of power in Washington. The timing of these developments is absolutely crucial, and I want you to understand why this matters so much. We're seeing coordinated legal action across multiple jurisdictions, and the synchronization is remarkable. Legal scholars who have been following these cases for months are saying they've never seen anything quite like this level of coordination and intensity. The legal teams involved are some of the most skilled prosecutors and defense attorneys in the country, and they're all converging on what promises to be an epic courtroom battle. Here's what makes this situation so extraordinary. We're not dealing with a single case or a straightforward legal dispute. Instead, we're looking at a web of interconnected legal challenges that span multiple areas of law. Constitutional law experts are weighing in, and they're describing this as a case study that will be taught in law schools for decades to come. The legal precedents being set here could reshape how we understand executive power and accountability in America. The scale of this legal showdown is breathtaking. We're talking about teams of attorneys who have been preparing for this moment for years. The amount of documentation involved is staggering, with thousands of pages of evidence and legal briefs being filed across multiple courts. Legal observers are saying the preparation for this case rivals some of the most complex corporate litigation in American history. The resources being deployed on all sides are enormous, and that tells you everything you need to know about how high the stakes really are. What's particularly fascinating is how this legal drama is unfolding across different venues simultaneously. We've got federal courts, state courts, and multiple jurisdictions all dealing with related but distinct legal questions. The coordination required to manage this kind of multi-front legal campaign is extraordinary. Legal experts are comparing it to a chess match being played on multiple boards at the same time, with each move affecting the others. The legal teams assembled for this showdown read like a who's who of American jurisprudence. On one side, you have prosecutors who have built their careers on high-profile cases and complex litigation. These are attorneys who have tackled everything from organized crime to white-collar fraud to constitutional challenges. Their track record speaks for itself, and they've been methodically building their cases with the precision of Swiss watchmakers. On the defense side, we're seeing equally formidable legal talent. These are attorneys who specialize in high-stakes litigation and have experience defending against the most serious charges the legal system can bring. They've been preparing their strategy for months, and they're ready to challenge every piece of evidence, every legal theory, and every procedural move. The courtroom battles between these legal titans are going to be absolutely spectacular. The procedural complexity of this case is mind-boggling. We're dealing with motions and counter-motions, appeals and cross-appeals, discovery disputes and evidentiary hearings. Each court filing triggers a cascade of responses, and the legal maneuvering is happening at lightning speed. Court clerks are working overtime just to keep up with the volume of paperwork being generated. The judges overseeing these cases are dealing with some of the most complex legal questions they've ever encountered. What makes this even more remarkable is the public interest component. This isn't happening behind closed doors in some corporate boardroom. The American people are watching every move, and the media coverage is intense. Legal commentators are providing round-the-clock analysis, and every court filing is being dissected by constitutional scholars and political observers. The transparency of the process is unprecedented, and that's adding another layer of complexity to an already intricate legal puzzle. The evidence being presented in these cases is substantial and wide-ranging. We're talking about documents, communications, financial records, and testimony from dozens of witnesses. The investigative work that went into building these cases took years and involved some of the most skilled investigators in the country. Every piece of evidence has been carefully vetted and corroborated, and the legal teams are confident they have the documentation needed to support their arguments. The constitutional questions at the heart of this legal showdown are profound. We're dealing with fundamental questions about the separation of powers, the scope of executive privilege, and the limits of presidential authority. Constitutional scholars are saying this case will help define these concepts for future generations. The Supreme Court may ultimately have to weigh in on some of these questions, and their decisions could have far-reaching implications for how our government operates. The timeline for this legal drama is compressed, and that's creating additional pressure on all parties involved. Court schedules are being accelerated, and attorneys are working around the clock to meet filing deadlines. The judges are moving quickly to ensure the cases proceed without unnecessary delays. This sense of urgency is palpable, and it's driving the intensity of the legal proceedings to extraordinary levels. What's particularly striking is how this legal showdown is intersecting with the broader political landscape. The timing couldn't be more significant, and the political implications are enormous. Political analysts are saying this legal drama could reshape the entire political conversation and influence major decisions about the future direction of the country. The intersection of law and politics has never been more visible or more consequential. The media coverage of this legal showdown is unprecedented in its scope and intensity. News organizations are dedicating entire teams to covering every aspect of these cases. Legal reporters who specialize in complex litigation are working overtime to explain the intricacies of the legal arguments to the general public. The public's appetite for information about these cases seems insatiable, and that's driving even more intensive coverage. The financial implications of this legal battle are staggering. We're talking about legal fees that could reach into the millions of dollars. The cost of assembling these legal teams and conducting this kind of complex litigation is enormous. Beyond the direct legal costs, there are broader economic implications that could affect everything from political fundraising to business confidence. The financial stakes are almost as high as the legal ones. What we're witnessing is truly historic, and the ramifications will be felt for years to come. This legal showdown represents a defining moment in American jurisprudence, and the outcomes will set precedents that influence how similar cases are handled in the future. The legal principles being established here will become part of the foundation of American law, and that makes every argument, every motion, and every ruling critically important. The complexity of managing this multi-jurisdictional legal campaign is unprecedented. Attorneys are having to coordinate across different courts with different rules and different timelines. The logistical challenges alone are enormous and require the kind of organizational skills typically associated with major corporate mergers or military operations. The precision required to execute this kind of legal strategy is remarkable. But this is just the beginning, folks. What we've seen so far is only the opening act of what promises to be a legal drama of epic proportions. The real fireworks are still to come, and the developments we're about to witness will make everything we've discussed so far look like a warm-up act. Stay tuned, because part 2 of this analysis is going to blow your mind as we dive deep into the specific charges, the evidence, and the explosive courtroom confrontations that are about to unfold. The defense strategies being deployed are absolutely fascinating, and they're revealing just how sophisticated this legal battle has become. We are seeing constitutional challenges that go to the very heart of our legal system. The defense teams are arguing everything from jurisdictional issues to statute of limitations problems to fundamental questions about prosecutorial overreach. These aren't desperate last-minute tactics. These are carefully crafted legal arguments that have been developed over months of intensive preparation. The evidentiary battles alone are worth watching because they're setting new standards for how complex cases like this are handled. We're talking about fights over what evidence can be admitted, what witnesses can testify, and what documents can be introduced. The judges are having to make ruling after ruling on these evidentiary questions, and each decision shapes how the entire case will proceed. Legal observers are saying some of these evidentiary rulings are going to be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court. The witness lists for these cases read like a political who's who, and that's creating its own set of complications. We're talking about testimony from former government officials, business leaders, and political operatives who have never been in this kind of legal spotlight before. The preparation required to get these witnesses ready for testimony is enormous. Legal teams are conducting practice sessions that last for days, and they're preparing for cross-examinations that could be brutal. What's particularly remarkable is how the legal teams are using technology to manage this massive undertaking. We're talking about sophisticated case management systems that track thousands of documents and pieces of evidence. The digital infrastructure required to handle this kind of complex litigation is cutting edge, and it's giving us a glimpse into the future of how major legal cases will be conducted. The coordination between different legal teams is happening in real time through secure communication systems that would make corporate America jealous. The international implications of this legal showdown are starting to emerge, and they're more significant than most people realize. Legal experts from around the world are watching these proceedings because they could influence how similar cases are handled in other democracies. The precedents being set here about executive accountability and the rule of law are being studied by constitutional scholars globally. This isn't just an American legal drama anymore. It's become a case study in democratic governance that's being watched by legal systems worldwide. The security arrangements for these court proceedings are unprecedented. We're talking about courthouse security that rivals what you'd see for major terrorism trials. The logistics of moving all the participants safely to and from court appearances is a massive undertaking that requires coordination between multiple law enforcement agencies. The security costs alone are running into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's just for the court proceedings themselves. The jury selection process for these cases is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. Finding impartial jurors for cases with this level of public attention is going to be one of the biggest challenges the legal system has faced in decades. The voir dire process could take weeks, and the questioning of potential jurors is going to be incredibly detailed. Legal experts are saying the jury selection alone could become a case study in how to handle high-profile cases in the modern media environment. The appellate strategy for these cases is already being mapped out even before the trials begin. Both sides are preparing for appeals that could go all the way to the Supreme Court, and they're building their trial records with those appeals in mind. Every objection, every motion, and every ruling is being evaluated through the lens of how it will play on appeal. The strategic thinking involved in this kind of multi-level legal planning is extraordinary. The impact on the broader legal profession is already being felt. Law schools are incorporating these cases into their curricula, and legal scholars are writing articles analyzing every aspect of the proceedings. The legal principles being established here are going to influence how attorneys approach similar cases for years to come. We're literally watching the evolution of American jurisprudence in real time. The financial disclosure requirements for these cases are creating their own set of legal complications. The amount of financial information that has to be reviewed and analyzed is staggering. Forensic accountants are working alongside the legal teams to trace financial transactions and identify potential evidence. The paper trail being created by this financial analysis could fill entire warehouses, and it's all being digitized and cataloged for use in court. The public relations battle that's happening alongside the legal proceedings is unprecedented in its sophistication. Both sides have assembled communications teams that are working around the clock to shape public perception of the cases. The strategic communications planning that goes into every public statement is remarkable, and it's creating a parallel battle for public opinion that's almost as intense as the legal proceedings themselves. What we're witnessing is the convergence of law, politics, media, and public opinion in ways that we've never seen before. The traditional boundaries between these different spheres are breaking down, and that's creating new challenges for everyone involved. Judges are having to consider the public impact of their rulings. Attorneys are having to balance legal strategy with public relations concerns. The entire legal system is adapting to this new reality in real time. The historical significance of what we're watching cannot be overstated. This legal showdown is going to be remembered as one of the defining moments in American legal history. The precedents being set, the legal principles being established, and the institutional changes being implemented are going to influence our legal system for generations. We're not just watching a court case, we're watching the evolution of American democracy itself. The investigation that led to these charges involved some of the most sophisticated law enforcement techniques available. We're talking about digital forensics, financial analysis, and investigative methods that push the boundaries of what's possible in criminal investigations. The technological capabilities being deployed in this case are giving us a glimpse into the future of law enforcement and criminal prosecution. This legal showdown represents the culmination of years of investigative work, legal preparation, and strategic planning. The dedication and expertise of everyone involved is remarkable, and the stakes couldn't be higher. We're witnessing a historic moment in American jurisprudence, and the outcomes will reverberate through our legal and political systems for years to come. The American people deserve to understand what's happening here because this case will help define the future of our democracy. The rule of law is being tested in ways it's never been tested before, and the results will determine whether our legal institutions can handle the challenges of the modern era. This is more than just a legal proceeding. This is a test of the very foundations of American democracy and justice. So, here we are, folks, at what may be the most pivotal moment in American legal history. This isn't just another court case that will fade into obscurity. This is a defining moment that will determine whether our legal institutions can withstand the ultimate test. The convergence of constitutional law, political accountability, and democratic principles we're witnessing right now will set the standard for how our nation handles similar challenges for generations to come. The sheer magnitude of what's unfolding before us is staggering. We've got multiple legal fronts, unprecedented coordination between prosecution teams, and constitutional questions that will reshape our understanding of executive power. The legal talent assembled on all sides represents the absolute pinnacle of American jurisprudence, and they're all converging on what promises to be the most consequential legal battle of our lifetimes. What makes this moment so extraordinary is that we're not just passive observers. We're witnessing the very foundations of American democracy being tested in real time. The precedents being set here will influence how our legal system operates for decades. The constitutional principles being established will become part of the bedrock of American law. This is living history, and every single development matters. The American people deserve transparency in this process because the outcomes will affect all of us. This legal showdown will determine whether our institutions can adapt to the challenges of the modern era while maintaining the rule of law that has been the cornerstone of our democracy. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the implications couldn't be more far-reaching. This is just the beginning of what promises to be an epic legal saga. The developments we're about to witness will make everything we've discussed today look like the opening chapter of a much larger story. Stay informed, stay engaged, and remember that we're all witnesses to a historic moment that will define the future of American justice and democracy.